From X, Farage calls X dangerous amid abuse of Reform's ethnic minority candidates. Right, now I know I told you lot I wasn't going to slag off old Frogface. Well, except for calling him old Frogface, obviously. But I do that to everyone. I'm not going to slag him off, not aggressively, because I will juxtapose this story against another one that's quite praiseworthy for old Frogface. But unfortunately, I'm going to have a pop about this statement that he put out today. Because for a bloke who likes to call himself a sort of free speech advocate, he did a press conference that I watched, and then I read this story, and I'm forced to leap to the conclusion that despite some good rhetoric on the subject, turns out old Froggy's a bit of a fanny. Okay, I'll read you what X has put up about him. They've summed up quite neatly, and then I'll show you the press conference. Story here says that Nigel Farage described X as a very unpleasant, very dangerous place. The real problem I've got with this is the second half of his statement. You can call it unpleasant, that's fine. It is unpleasant. It's full of people arguing all the time because 40% of the platform are brain-dead shit-for-brains lefties who can barely find their own arsehole with both hands. These people are completely brain-dead and can't bring themselves to face the mirror and see reality as it actually is. They live in a fantasy land. And then I'm forced to call them knobheads on the daily, and it makes it quite an unpleasant platform. It does, yeah. But it's not dangerous, is it? It's only dangerous if you're subscribing to the ridiculous upside-down left-wing ideology that says that silence is violence. Ooh, you can't be silent. That's violence. This is what they actually say. Words are not violence. Ever. It's impossible. Silence definitely can't. I mean, only the most woke people came out with that one. In the 2010s, when we just had far-left imbeciles, before the cult really took off, they did used to say, words are violence. So I won't even talk about the silence is violence bollocks. That doesn't even warrant a response. It's so completely vacuous and brain dead. But words aren't violence. No, they never can be. Nobody has ever died from hurt feelings, which is what my whole last video was about, wasn't it? That bloke getting dragged across the coals for putting some slightly impolite stickers on his disability scooter. Nobody ever died from being offended. People get offended every hour of every day. Someone doesn't insult you and call you a few colourful swear words, and then the next day you wake up and you're HIV positive. It doesn't happen. It's a ludicrous thing to say dangerous. It's not dangerous, Froggy. It just isn't. It's free. It allows for vociferous debate, and that's a good thing, and it always will be. Anyway, this story continues. Due to a surge in abuse against the party's ethnic minority candidates ahead of May 7th local elections in England, Scotland and Wales. Well, if a candidate says something very, very, very stupid, I reserve the right to call them out on it and say things to them quite aggressively in response. I got a great one out of a Labour MP the other day, but I'll cover that in a separate video. Suffice it to say, if you're an idiot in a public square, you should be shouted at. This is no different than going to your local town hall, as we love to do in England. It's a fantastic tradition that's less common in Europe because they're sort of top-down autocracy out there, especially in places like Germany. Absolute fannies inhabiting that country. It's a great British tradition. Going to your local town hall and seeing your local MP and holding him to account in front of a big gang of people where he says absolute bollocks and you get the chance to say to them in person, you're talking total shit. You lying, thieving parasite. That is acceptable behaviour. That's what we all think of MPs, don't we? Left and right alike. I mean, it's pretty much the only thing British people can agree on is that our leaders are the scum of the earth. It's not like Navarra Media and Ash Sarkar are fond of MPs, is it? So of course we should be allowed to haul them over the coals. Verbal abuse is simply verbal abuse. It's simply slightly aggressive talking. Never ever call that dangerous if you want me in a few years' time, if the Restore vote doesn't gain any ground, if you want me to hold my nose and reluctantly push for voting for reform, because as you all know, I'm a ruthless pragmatist. The least worst option does make sense if the alternative option is Keir Starmer. And I'll argue that point with anyone. I'll take anyone on there. Even all the people I like, Dino, Landura, Sargon, any of them. Like, if it comes to a week before the general election and the normies haven't switched on, I reserve the right to push for reform. Because nobody can tell me with a straight face that there's no difference at all between the Labour Party and Keir Starmer and Nigel Farage. Like, I'd rather have Anderson and Farage on the front bench than the androgynous android and Lambtron. So we'll get to that another time. Maybe I can argue the toss with Dino next time I see him. The point I'm getting at is, I know a lot of people have fell off the reform train for obvious reasons. And one of the obvious reasons is saying dumb shit like this.
I would add that the online abuse on X that our minority candidates are receiving is utterly appalling in every way. And if it was happening to any other candidates from more established parties in the sense of their age, you would all be in total uproar. And I've not heard a single person comment on it. It really, really is bad. And X is now becoming a very unpleasant and very dangerous place.
Right, so there's that. Again, I totally disagree with him talking about being dangerous, but I'll give him credit for once again attacking the mainstream media, because he is right there, isn't he? If people were saying that stuff to Lambtron or Shabana Mahmood, people would be getting arrested. Oh, sorry, Shabana Mahmood.
Some more wine, you brown-skinned slut.
Never gets old, Wagon Master Runciman, does he? Back to this story. He highlighted fielding a quite remarkable number of such candidates. He has indeed done that. I think that's part of his problem. While facing mockery over accents and origins like Bassey Williams, alongside criticism from Elon Musk, who labelled Farage controlled opposition. Despite the backlash, some defended the complaints by noting real threats, and polls show reform leading nationally at 24 to 28% as it pushes diversity to broaden appeal in urban areas. Which annoys people that are right-wing and nationalist, which, I mean, I am at this point, and you can see why. But I promised I'd give him a little bit more praise, so I have to cover this one as well. They've also unveiled a plan to give migrants £1,000 each to leave the country that would cost the taxpayer £400 million. We can debate the ins and outs of that. In some ways, it can prove a good thing if you definitely sling them out for good and you make sure they can't get back in. In other ways, yeah, there's an incentive there, isn't there? So I think we'd have to really debate that one to get to the bottom of whether or not it's a good idea. But the credit I'll give them is for this bit, whereby Farage said he's already done a deal with the Taliban to return all the migrants to Afghanistan, which is brilliant. Again, you're talking about calling them controlled opposition. Maybe they are. But if you can put a bloke in the chair that's going to deport every single Afghan from the UK, I think sign me up for that one, lads. That's a done deal. The other one I'd say, which is pretty good, is a pledge to identify and deport all illegal immigrants in the UK, as well as leaving the ECHR, which is often used by people to claim asylum. Again, many of you in the chat will say, Bootneck, you soft, wet, lefty bastard, right, for backing reform on this. But at the end of the day, as I keep telling you, you don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Your life in the UK would improve immeasurably if every single Afghan got deported and every single illegal immigrant, which is probably about 8 or 9 million of them at this point, and we pulled out the ECHR, the criminals charter, so that kiddie fiddlers and surprise sex enthusiasts and all myriad other scum can't use it as a free pass to do as they please and get away with it. So there's plenty of good stuff that reformers say, and plenty of annoying stuff as well. Therefore, I'll sum up as I started. I'm really trying not to jump on the let's all slag Froggy off bandwagon, but come on, Nigel, don't be talking about danger when we're merely talking about ripping the piss out of people that very often deserve it. And I maintain that I'll push for Rupert and Restore as aggressively as anybody else on the right, while generally refraining from slagging off Froggy. Because let's be honest, as long as there's a Labour, Conservative, SNP, Plaid Cymru, Lib Dems, or a European Union in existence, why would I want to waste my time slagging off reform? But that's just my thoughts. If you're a ethnat purist and you think it's a wise use of your time to spend hours every day hating on a party full of right-wing people. Because, I mean, look at the Reform membership. The average member, some plumber from Leeds who's just joined the party, he's like 10 steps right of anyone in Lib Lab Con. So I think it's counterproductive to spend your time attacking them. But you can disagree with me down below in the comments if you want. Regardless, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Toodle pip. Cheers.